Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a drama thriller film, Signal 100. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins in a class where a teacher reprimands two students who have been staring at each other that they should only look at each other at most for 10 seconds. Another student stands up to comment that it was embarrassing for them to be caught, and the teacher tells her that wearing gym clothes during class isn't allowed. The class laughs as the teacher asks for everybody to calm down. A tardy girl enters the classroom during break and realizes that everyone's gone. The teacher admonishes her that he told her not to be late that day. She apologizes, telling him that she's going, but he stops her. He hands over a CD and tells her that he's counting on her. He pats her on the head, and her eyes turn glassy for a moment. Everybody's at their next class when the tardy girl enters. She looks to be in a trance. A long-haired boy comes up to her to tease her about being late, but she doesn't react as she places the CD inside the player. After setting it up, she snaps out of her trance and tells the long-haired boy that she doesn't know what she's doing. The lights dim, and a weird video starts playing on the projector. Everyone's watching. Once the video ends, the whole class snaps out of it, and someone notes the video is weird. The tardy girl turns to the long-haired boy to ask him to get the notes from the teacher. He refuses and teases her that he's sorry that she's late. She stops and repeats what he says about being late. As if someone else was controlling her body, she heads towards the classroom balcony, climbs up the railing, then throws herself off the building. Someone screams that they should call an ambulance. The long-haired boy immediately takes his phone out and attempts to call the emergency number. Before he can report what happened, he turns his wrist towards his mouth and tears off the flesh with his teeth. Blood is spurting everywhere, and everyone screams in fright. A couple more students run out to the balcony and jump off the building as well. The teacher comes back. He finds the long-haired boy's body first and then hurries out the balcony to check who else was dead. He comes back inside and asks them if they remember his lecture about unpredictable things happening. He then asks them what if a person was hypnotized into committing suicide. The class starts whispering to themselves. The teacher then reveals that all 36 students in the classroom are put under hypnosis, and certain actions will trigger them to commit suicide. He refers to these actions as signals. A curly-haired boy walks up to him, threatening to kill him. Another girl rushes to call her mother, but before she can spill what's going on, something snaps inside of her. She drops her phone and pulls her tongue out instead. The teacher says that it's sad that the girl didn't get his warning. Wada asks if using the phone also belongs to one of the signals, and the teacher praises him for figuring it out. He tells them that there are 100 signals. The curly-haired boy from earlier grabs the teacher by the shirt and orders him to take the hypnosis out. Before he can harm the teacher, he faces the wall and starts banging his head against it. The whole class is freaking out. When he finally passes out, the teacher reveals that violence against others is considered a signal too. A pigtail-wearing girl screams that she doesn't understand what's going on and cries. This also triggers hypnosis. She reaches for a vase and then slams her face into it. The teacher discloses that crying is also a signal. He dismisses the rest of the class. The class is running around the parking lot when one of the girls runs out to the school ground, begging for someone to help them. She stops when she crosses the gate, and her hands reach for her head. She breaks her neck. This means that leaving the school is also a signal. The teacher shows up again and explains that leaving the school, telling people about the hypnosis, and asking for help are also signals that can trigger the hypnosis. He refuses to tell them the rest. He advises them that their parents have been informed that they'll be staying overnight at school, which means no one will be alarmed if they don't go home. He leads the class back to their room, where he finally reveals how they can get rid of the hypnosis. Everyone but you must die. If you're the last person standing, then the hypnosis will be removed. He believes that whatever happens, it will be a good way for the class to learn about society. Kashmira asks what the point is, which angers the teacher. She criticizes him for thinking that what he's doing is righteous. The teacher then belittles her, telling her that her dream of being a lawyer will never happen. She demands that he give everyone back. He tells her that he can't bring back the dead, and then heads out to the balcony to throw himself off the building as well. With the teacher gone, the class is at a loss. Tired of the defeated mood the class is in, a boy stands up and encourages everyone to put their heads together and figure out how to get rid of the hypnosis. They decide that some will look into the teacher's stuff at his office, while some will check out the computer room to research. Kashmira reports to the class that the teacher's stuff is gone. Those who went to the computer room can't do anything as well, since all of the lines have been disconnected. Wada then rushes inside and announces that he has learned more things about hypnosis. He shows the class a book that follows the teachings of a Christian congregation. That same congregation released a mind control video back in the 1980s, which was what they watched earlier. Wada repeats what the teacher said. The only way to lift the hypnosis spell is if you're the last one standing. He reassures the group that there are at least 50 signals in the book. He believes that it's credible, since the signals the teacher mentioned are included in the list. After listing down the signals they found, the group realizes they only need to figure out 48 more, which should help their chances of surviving. In the library, Wada asks his hormone partner if they could talk in private, since he wants to admit something before they die. He leads her to the nurse's office, where they start a hormone game earnestly. He whispers that he'd like to admit his true feelings. He slowly lays her down on the hospital bed and asks if she is afraid of dying. The partner denies this as they continue being intimate. Wada then whispers that he found 60 signals, not just 50 from the book. One of the signals was touching an aroused body part. He then forces her to touch his hardened member. Her eyes widen in surprise, and in her trance-like state, she walks for the nurse's desk, grabs a scissor, and slices her throat open. Wada watches as she bleeds to death. He then hears a body dropping behind him and finds another classmate of theirs dead. He was peeping on them and had attempted to pleasure himself. Those in the soccer club are starting to doubt Wada, with Kirino going as far as to admit that if he was the one who found the signals, he would have never told the class. He argues that Wada most likely knows of all 100 signals but decided to only share 50. Sakaki reassures Kirino that it's not the case, but the paranoia is settling in. Kashimura overhears them and scolds them for speculating. She insists they have to trust Wada. After they find the body of Wada's hormone partner, they notice that Kirino is no longer with them, which means he must be looking for Wada. Kirino finds Wada and chases him. They end up in the science lab. Wada declares he's tired and reaches for the bottle of drink that Kirino's holding. This makes him hesitate since he doesn't know if it's safe to consume. Kashimura catches up to them, and Wada offers the drink to her instead. Kirino asks Wada if there are signals he didn't tell them. Wada realizes that they'll trust him if he takes the first sip, which he does before handing the drink over to Kashimura. Kirino grabs it from her and takes a large gulp. It turns out Wada has faked drinking and quickly spits it out. Kirino, in his trance-like state, reaches for one of the chemistry bottles, breaks it, and stabs himself with it. Kashimura tries to stop him and asks Wada what he's doing, but he only looks at them calmly before walking away. Back in the classroom, the rest of the class finds out from a girl that there are 10 more signals they weren't made aware of. She pretends to be holding the book. The impatient boy grabs it from her, but finds a manga instead. It turns out reading a manga was one of the signals. He then reaches for one of the light bulbs, plugs it in, and forces it in his mouth, thus electrocuting himself to death. Sakaki tries to calm an irritable classmate and points out that the only one in the wrong is their teacher. Wada passes by. In his anger, the classmate runs after Wada. He asks Wada if he knows all of the 100 signals. Wada just tells him that he's doing his best to remove the hypnosis, and then accuses everyone in the soccer club of sabotaging him. Wada takes a step back, as some of their classmates surround Sakaki and the irritable boy. Wada tells them that he'll reveal one of the signals, which are 7 or more people pointing at someone. The irritable classmate pushes Sakaki back. Almost immediately, he wraps his hands around his neck and strangles himself to death. Kashimura and Sakaki are looking for Wada to stop him. In one of the classrooms, Kashimura finds the couple from earlier, with spears stabbed through their necks. They've stared at each other for too long, and it dawns on Kashimura and Sakaki what the rest of the signals are. After remembering the rules the teacher had set in his class, Kashimura announces that she needs to tell the rest of the class. Sakaki tries to stop her. She argues that this isn't the time to be thinking about themselves. When they turn around, they find some of the students who had pointed their fingers at the irritable classmate. They apologize and admit that they were scared and didn't know what to do. Kashimura tells them that it can't be helped and reveals that she has a plan. At the gymnasium, Kashimura finds a classmate. However, the rest of Wada's group also walks out from the shadows and points their fingers at Kashimura. The classmate admits that she wants Kashimura to disappear, since she finds that she's always in the way of things. Sakaki shouts for them to stop as the rest of their group run toward Kashimura. With the remaining students in the gymnasium, the girl decides that they should target Sakaki first, but Wada refuses. Kashimura then announces to the rest of the class that she knows what the rest of the signals are. They were the rules the teacher had made. With this information, there's no need for them to turn against each other. Wada calls for everybody's attention and reveals that he was the only one who figured out all of the 100 signals before Kashimura did. He wanted everyone to turn on each other, but since Kashimura has spilled the beans, it is time to take matters into his own hands. With rain clothes on, he shakes a couple of cans of alcohol and sprays the group with them. However, one of the signals is showering in alcohol. Several students then start killing themselves off, either by hanging, stabbing, jumping off something high, drilling a hole in their head, or slicing their throats. Realizing that she's been used as well, the girl tries to kill Wada, but since she's trying to harm another, every time she misses, she turns the weapon she's holding to herself. Sakaki confronts Wada and calls him by his first name. Wada comments that it took Sakaki way too long to figure out what the rest of the signals are, then shows the torn-up rules that their teacher had posted in their classroom. He had truly intended to keep everybody in the dark to ensure that he was the last one standing. Wada reminds Sakaki of their suicide pact when they were younger. He wanted to talk to Sakaki, but the other boy had always been preoccupied with the soccer club. Wada tells Sakaki that he's tired and tries to convince him to go through with their suicide pact. Before they can proceed, a boy appears out of nowhere and tries to harm Wada. He hits him, but not mortally. Since the boy had harmed another person, the hypnosis is triggered on him, causing him to stab himself in the stomach. There are only 3 of them left: Wada, Kashimura, and Sakaki. Pulling out a couple of pills from his pocket, Sakaki tells Kashimura that they're medicines to get rid of the hypnosis. He explains that there are only 2 of the pills, but if they believe what their teacher had said, then the last person will still be saved and the hypnosis lifted. Kashimura asks who will take the medicine and who will be the last person. She suggests that they talk to Wada to figure things out. Sakaki comments that she's a good girl and agrees. Sakaki goes to the rooftop where Wada is. He asks Sakaki what his plans are. Kashimura arrives at the rooftop as well, and the 3 face off. Sakaki apologizes to Kashimura and tells her that he can't give her the medicine. She agrees to be the last person standing, while Wada immediately grabs the pill from Sakaki and downs it. After Wada swallows the pill, Sakaki confesses that he is lying and there is no medicine. It was just one of his painkillers, which is one of the signals. Sakaki then grabs Wada, shoving him against the railing, trying to throw him off the building. The hypnosis is triggered since Sakaki's trying to harm Wada. Because of that, Sakaki pulls out a scissor from inside his jacket and stabs himself with it. On the other hand, Wada is forced to climb up the railing and throw himself off the building. Kashimura runs next to Sakaki and pulls out the scissor he had used on himself. Before she can kill herself with it, Sakaki stops her. As she lays Sakaki next to his other friends, she takes his phone so that she can call for help. She finds the last video that Sakaki recorded with the rest of the boys in the soccer club. It turns out they had gone out of their way to keep her safe because they were all in love with her. Morning comes and she's unharmed, which means that the hypnosis was gone. As the only survivor, the police protected her. However, they didn't find the teacher's corpse. In the next scene, we find the teacher with chains around his body, eating noodles in a dark room. He tells Kashimura that it's been a long time since he last saw her. She concedes that she never became a lawyer as he predicted, but because of what happened, she ended up studying criminal psychology instead. He asks if this means that she understands why he did what he did, but Kashimura tells him that he should have just killed himself instead of hypnotizing them. She accuses him of doing it for psychopathic fun. The teacher tells her that he truly loved the class, and that it is a lot more fun having students who love him commit suicide. She tells the teacher that she didn't study criminal psychology to understand him, but rather to punish him the same way he punished them. She then puts on the CD that he made them watch years ago. Before she can leave, the teacher points out the hypocrisy of her statement from years ago, since she's punishing him now with her sense of justice, in the same way he punished them with his own righteous thinking. The teacher laughs as she leaves. The movie ends with Kashimura gazing at her old school for a moment before walking away completely. This is Daniel's CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.